everyone, it's MC Flawless, spreading peace and love, coming at you live from YouTube. So today I'm going to be sharing my personal story with bullying. And the reason I'm sharing my personal story with bullying is because I want to spread inspiration to others and also let them know they're not the only ones who've experienced this or who's going through this, but also because it's part of a project that I'm starting that's called the Nice and Positivity Project. I actually started this project 2 years ago, and I've been trying to get it off the ground, and it's a project that helps combat bullying, because especially today we have so much easy access to one another with social media and things like that, and bullying has gotten so much worse, and the suicide rates due to that have gone up, and I want to be able to share inspiration to others and hope, and this whole project is about spreading love, kindness, positivity, good vibes, all those positive things in order to help combat bullying, and eventually one day to be able to put an end to bullying. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm going to be sharing my story. So my story starts, like most people's, where my first experience with bullying was when I was very young. For me, it actually started when I was 5, and it's the weirdest thing, because when I first experienced bullying, I didn't actually realize that that's what it was. I thought it was just people being mean, not being nice. And I used to be a very, very outgoing, happy-go-lucky person. I'm still relatively happy today, but not as much as I used to be. And the very first time I was bullied was in kindergarten, when we had a dress-up day where you had to dress like someone else in the class. So you got a partner, and you picked what you guys were going to wear, dress the exact same, things like that. And then come to school the next day wearing the exact same color shirts, pants, and shoes, and got in a group of 3 with 2 other girls. We agreed to wear the same shirt. I think it was like a white t-shirt and jeans and white shoes. Come to school the next day. Got to school the next day and went up to the girls all excited, and they're like, "Oh, we don't want you in our group anymore, you can just go be with someone else." And I was kind of in shock, and I just kind of was like, there's no one else in the class that's dressed like me, so I'm not really going to match. And it was just kind of shoved off to the side. And it got progressively worse from there. I think the worst amount of bullying that I experienced, or at least one of the situations that was bad, was when I was younger. I was 7 years old, and I had these 2 boys basically kind of herd me into a corner and say the nastiest things about my skin color. And they told me how my skin color was darker than my mom's. There's no way I look like her. My skin's disgusting. Why do you look like that? Why is your hair like this? I mean, you name it, they said it. I think the only thing that wasn't said was the N-word, and that's because they didn't know what it was, and they were far too young to understand that. And it was utterly disgusting. And I think what hurts more than anything about bullying is not just the words that's said to you, because you can write words down, you can type them on the screen, and hide behind a screen of anonymous, words and just hate. But when you say it to someone's face, when those words breach their mind, their body, their soul, it hurts and it stings. But the thing that hurts even more than that is I can remember every single person that bullied me, first name, last name. I had 2 kids that I grew up with. They were twins. Went to the same elementary, middle school, and high school with me, and terrorized me for the entire time. They were back and forth, and it was disgusting. But yeah, I had these 2 boys, and I'm not going to mention any names, by the way, but I had these 2 boys herd me in a corner at the age of 7, saying all these disgusting things to me, and I finally just pushed them aside and ran. Didn't run to a teacher, didn't run to anybody, just hid in the corner, and cried. Eventually, the teacher found me crying and asked me what was wrong. I told her what had happened, and the teacher called their parents, mine, and had the boys apologize to me, and had them realize that that's not the nicest thing to say or to do to somebody. And for me personally, I have been a victim of bullying, a bullying victim for 12 years, from the time I was in kindergarten all the way until I was in high school, and it didn't even stop after I graduated. But for 12 years, so if you do the math, that's an entire decade and 2 more years of non-stop just crap from people who barely knew me and didn't even want to get to know me. And so it affected me in a lot of ways, because I used to be a person who was outgoing, who would walk up to people and be like, hey, what's your name? Do you want to be friends? You know? And at the age of 12, because I had been belittled and hurt so much, I was like 12 or 13, but I remember I was in 8th grade. And at some point I was just like, what is the point of going up to people and trying to be friends with them when each and every single person out there is going to hurt me at some point? And so that just stopped. I just stopped making friends with people. At that point I had a decent amount of friends. I had a pretty good amount of friends where I had my small circle of people that I hung out with, and I stuck with those people. And as I grew up, I made more friends, but I made friends through my friends. So my friends would say, hey, this is so-and-so, you know, and I'd say, oh, hey, hi, and that's how I would make friends. But if I didn't know you, I wasn't going to talk to you. I didn't trust you. And 12 years of bullying creates a lot of things, and it can affect people in a lot of ways. For me, it affected me in that by the age of 13, I most definitely had depression. Didn't tell anybody, and most of my friends and family who will watch this will not know that I have depression, and I've been battling that for 10 years, and it sucks. But yeah, it created a host of things, and the bullying got so bad that I was fast forward to, I think it was probably my sophomore or junior year in high school. I had a full backpack of textbooks, notebooks, you name it, all that stuff, plus 2 or 3 extra textbooks in my hands, right here. And I was walking down the hallway to get to class, and mind you, my school was huge. It had 4,000 plus students in it. And so, you know, walking down the hallway, it was almost like there was like almost no room. You know, it was very, very crowded, even though the school was big. But it was a crowded hallway, and so I'm just trying to get to class. I'm like, I just need to get there during the passing period. And somehow, some boy ran up behind me. Mind you, my hair was much longer at the time. I had braids in. But he came up behind me, grabbed my hair, which was in a ponytail, and he yanked it and almost knocked me to the floor. And I fell over into a crowd of people, all of whom were pissed. Mind you, it's, you know, not my fault that I fell into them, but someone just yanked me and pulled my entire body. And after they pulled me down and almost knocked me to my feet, he then ran off. And I got up, kind of got my footing, was like, what the hell, why did that just happen? Turned around, saw the boy running off, and saw his friends laughing. And I was just... I felt so embarrassed and angry, and I felt a host of emotions, but I just didn't know what to do because I was so used to walking down the hallway in fear. It was to the point where our school had different wings. It had A, B, C, and D. And so if I was in the A wing, which is where a lot of the arts and music was, and I had a class in B wing, I would intentionally take the long way around, just to avoid certain hallways where I knew I'd be bullied, where I knew I'd be cornered. And a lot of our, like a lot of schools, you know, a lot of the hallways had blind spots. So there'd be spots where the teachers couldn't see, security cameras couldn't see, no one could see you, and I wasn't trying to get locked in that corner. So I would go from the A wing all the way to the D wing, which is by the gym, and go back around to the B wing, because that was the only way I felt safe. It was the only way I felt like I wasn't going to get hurt. I wasn't going to get physically hurt. I wasn't going to get verbally assaulted. And, you know, just have people talking about me behind my back, saying disgusting things, you know. And the bullying got so intense that by the end of my junior year, and this next part is going to be so hard to say. But by, it's not the end of my junior year, probably about in the middle of my junior year, I had started to self-harm, or what most people know as cutting. And I did that for 4 years. And I can say that there's a handful of people I can count on one hand that know that. And to my friends and family who are watching this, if you don't know, you do now. And it's hard to talk about if you've ever been a person who's done that. You know, people do it for a multitude of reasons. For me personally, and I can't speak for anybody else, but for me personally, I did it because the pain I was experiencing in my life was much harder to deal with than the pain that was going across my wrist. And I don't know if you guys can see them, but I still have scars on my wrists and on my arms from that. And they're a permanent reminder of what happened. And so yeah, and I did that for about 4 years, and then I finally decided to stop, and I relapsed probably about 2 or 3 times after quitting. But the reason for me that I did that was because dealing with, I could control the pain when I cut my wrists. I could control that. I can control when I felt it, how long I felt that pain, when that pain was to come and to go, and why that pain was there in the first place. And it it was what made dealing with all of the bullying help, because people, and I think the thing that a lot of people don't realize is like, oh, it's just words, oh, I'm just poking fun, oh, I'm just making jokes. And the thing is, when you say nasty shit like that, when you spew words of hate like that because you think it's funny, you're affecting somebody. You know, a thing I love to say is we all have baggage. We all go through stuff in our lives. Excuse me. We all have things that we're going through and things that we're experiencing and things that knock us on our ass. You know, and we don't need someone who's got a bunch of baggage already, like us, to say, hey, I don't want to deal with this anymore, so I'm going to give it to you. And so now that person is carrying the baggage they already started with plus somebody else's baggage, because for whatever reason they're projecting their insecurities. They just because they can, you know, feels need to be mean. And for me, I'm fortunate enough that I grew up in a time where social media wasn't actively present until I was in high school. Like Facebook, you know, had just, you know, started to become a thing probably about halfway through my sophomore year in high school. But I grew up in the age of, you know, the only social media thing that was out there were things like MySpace and, you know, you had the very beginnings of Google and stuff like that. But, you know, we didn't have all these things like Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, all of these ways that we can now reach one another. And all of these different ways where we don't have to bully somebody by being face to face. You know, all you have to do is go online and hide behind a screen and disgusting words. And while I grew up in an age before social media really became such a huge thing, you know, it was, you know, a lot of it was face to face. So bullying would happen, you know, before, you know, in school, or after school in the playground, where people would say, you know, meet me at the playground at, you know, such and such o'clock, whatever. You know, but even then it was hard because after school you'd still have kids, parents, adults, you know, you'd still be inside of the public eye. So you may or may not have been able to get away with bullying somebody after school because there was somebody on the grounds, on the school grounds, who could see you. But, you know, now we have such easy access to one another just by typing in that comment section below, or going off to Twitter and subtweeting somebody and finding this nasty things to say. And for me, it's like, if you don't, you know, mesh with somebody, or maybe for whatever reason they rub you the wrong way, you don't have to go out of your way to insult them or say mean things or do mean things to hurt them, either verbally or physically. Just do your own thing. You know, do you. You don't have to directly interact with them. And if you have somebody in your class or that you work with or that's in the same environment with you that you may not be fond of, just be cordial. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to say disgusting things. Just be nice. Just be nice. Say one nice word. One random act of kindness, one nice word that you could say to somebody. Hey, you look handsome today. Hey, you look beautiful. It can change somebody's life. And for the people who are watching this right now, who, like myself, have gone through bullying and who are battling depression or battling self-harm or are going through a hard time, please know that you are loved. Please know that people care about you. Please know that you're not the only one. I went through this for more than a decade, so believe me when I say I know what I'm talking about. But something that I learned through all of that, and the inspirational word I'd like to share with you guys today, is strength. And that is, at some point, I don't even remember exactly when this was. I know it was in high school, but what grade or how old I was, I don't remember. But I remember at some point just saying, you know what? I'm not going to make other people's issues my problem. And when people say horrible, awful things to me, it's not a reflection of who I am. It does not describe who I am. It describes who they are. You know? And I know it sounds cliche, and I know you've probably heard it a million times, but it really does get better. And I encourage you, if you haven't seen this video already on YouTube, it's a video that's called It Gets Better, and it is performed by Todrick Hall. I'll put a link to the video in the description down below. And It's an absolutely amazing video. The song is beautiful. I cried when I first saw it, so I definitely encourage you to go see that as a way of inspiration to yourself, or if you want to share it with somebody, someone else, please do that. I'm not sponsored by this video, but I do definitely encourage you to go watch it because it is such an uplifting video and it is absolutely amazing. But something else I also would like you to remember are two different things. One of them is a quote by the amazing Maya Angelou that says, it is part of one of her poems. I don't remember which poem it's a part of, so please forgive me. But there's a quote in one of her poems that says, quote, "We are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike. We are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike." End quote. And I love, saying that to myself in my head because it's true, If we've all been asked at some point in our lives, write 3 things or write 5 things that are positive about yourself, or write 3 things or 5 things that you wish to change. And we can all, off the top of our heads, mention things we want to change. I want to change this, 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 and this. But we have a harder time thinking of positive things and of nice things. And I encourage you to stay strong, and I encourage you to constantly remember that if ever you're going through a hard time or someone says something mean to you, it doesn't reflect who you are. That's not you. That's them. That's their problems. That's their insecurities that they need to be able to grow up and deal with and to be able to handle without throwing their baggage at you. So drop their baggage that they've given you and let them pick it up. I encourage you to stay strong. You are strong. You are handsome. You are beautiful. And you got this. You got this because you're still here and you're still fighting. There's something that you're trying to reach, whatever that is. And I encourage you that whatever it is you're trying to reach or go for, whatever gets you out of bed in the morning, think of that every time you go through something hard. Whatever makes you smile, whatever makes you laugh. One of the many things that makes me smile is music and is also my 2 dogs. One of whom is a special needs dog because she's been through so much in her first 4 months of life. And you will see more of her in my Friday videos. But back to my personal story, the other thing I want you guys to remember is if you guys watch Ellen DeGeneres and her TV show, which I love, it is her saying that she says at the end of every TV show, which is, quote, "Be kind to one another," end quote. And it's something that's so simple, but is so often forgotten, and it's a beautiful thing because we really don't often remember the simple, kind things. And it's not, it doesn't have to be extravagant. It can just be, hey, you look beautiful today. You look nice. I encourage you to stay strong. I encourage you to be yourself. Something nice. If you see somebody who's sitting alone in the cafeteria or in your school, don't just pass by them like they're a wallflower. Walk up to them. And there's nothing wrong with being a wallflower. If you want to be a wallflower, be a wallflower. Do you. Do whatever it is you want to do. Each and every single one of us is our own unique person. And we should all be who we want to be and do what makes us happy and love who we want to love. And just be us. Openly and authentically us. And so I encourage you guys to remember those 2 things and to remember that being you is okay. That nobody's mean comments, on social media, wherever, on social media that you may hang out, defines who you are. And I also encourage you, if you guys see bullying, please say something. Stand up for that person. I know a lot of us are scared to stand up because we don't want to get in the middle, we don't want to get involved, we don't want to be the next target. But standing up for people is one of the best ways you can combat it because it shuts it down. If you are afraid to get into the middle of that directly, let a teacher know. Let a person of authority know. Tell them what you saw so we can put a stop to it, because if we stay silent, the problem continues. If we speak up, if we talk about the problem, if we continue to combat this problem, it will go away. It may not go away overnight. As the old saying goes, quote, "Rome wasn't built in a day," end quote, but it's a start. And so we need to do everything that we can to uplift one another, not take each other down. We need to spread one love, as Bob Marley would always say. We need to share hope and affection with one another and just, make each other happy. We're going through, in this day and age, there's so much that's going on that can bring us down. There's so much that's going on in the world that's just so negative and that you see in the news and stuff like that. And sometimes all we see is complete and utter darkness. And we need to be able to take away that darkness, see the light, encourage one another, love each other, and spread that light. You know, the other saying that I love too is one by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said, quote, "Darkness does not drive out darkness. Only light can do that," end quote. So we need to spread that light and share that light, and I encourage you to spread the light that is filled with happiness and joy and love, and send it to others that you know and those you don't know. You know, and so, you know, I guess I want to end this by saying that we need to do everything that we can to help one another with whatever it is, be it the smallest of tasks or the monumental ones. And we need to spread unconditional love and happiness and positivity, because I feel like it's weird that stuff like happiness and positivity is almost, you know, not a normal thing that you see every day. It's become a rarity, which is surprising, that the basic, you know, desire to spread happiness and joy and positivity is just gone, you know. And people will say, oh, it's because of this, oh, it's because of social media, oh, it's because of what's going on right now, you know, out in the world and blah, blah, blah. But whatever it is, you know, we can help, you know, spread more light and positivity and combat any of that, you know. And we can become stronger, we can become better as people, we can stand up and make our voices heard. So I encourage you all to please, please, please continue to spread positivity, continue to spread love and happiness, and just do something for somebody. You don't have to know that person that you do something for. You know, you may not know them at all. And the nicest things, and I think the thing that people need to remember too, is someone could be having a really bad day, and somebody could be depressed like myself, self-harming like I did, and contemplating suicide, because suicide rates are huge due to bullying. And in fact, I'm going to grab my phone here, almost dropped that, and show you guys, read to you guys some of the statistics from a website that talks about bullying and how much it affects people. But suicide is a very, very, you know, one of those very huge things that's you know, a problem, and a lot of it's due to bullying. You know, there are people who are bullied so much and so often, and they feel like they can't get away from it. And so what ends up happening is, you know, they decide that, you know, maybe, you know, that committing suicide, that suicide is the best option. And I can honestly say that as someone who was bullied for many years, it's something I considered. Like I said, I was bullied for 12 years. I could never escape that, you know. And it was definitely something I contemplated. And the main reason, well, one of many reasons that I'm still here is because I had friends and family to help me along the way. Friends and family that told me to ignore the bullies, and that, you know, what they're saying isn't true, and that it doesn't define me. That's not who I am, and it's just people saying nasty things to make themselves feel better, because for whatever reason they're going through something in their life that they feel they need to project onto others, that they're insecure about, that they can't handle, so they want you to be able to handle it for them. And it makes them feel better when they're nasty to you. And I don't understand why it would make somebody feel better when they're rude, but sometimes people will just do that. And so to kind of give you a perspective as to how much of a problem this is, I looked on a website that's called nobullying.com. I will post a link to this website in the description below. And I was looking up the statistics about suicide rates amongst kids that are bullied, because I had seen so many, you know, things on the news, so many stories on the news about kids that were being bullied and killing themselves because of that. And I'm not talking about like kids like 15, 16-year-olds. There were stories about 15, 16-year-olds who had committed suicide due to bullying, but I saw stories about kids who were 9, 10, 11, 12. Whether you're 9 or 16, that is young. You still have your whole life ahead of you, and it's cut short because somebody decides they want to say enough nasty things to you that you decide that at some point along the way you're just like, enough is enough. And to that I say, why? I don't understand what makes somebody want to do that, or if you feel better by making somebody so upset that they contemplate suicide. I don't understand how or why that would make you feel better, and I may never understand that. But for those of you who are even the bully, these statistics are something you need to keep in your head, every single time you do that. For those of you who are being bullied, and for those of you who see bullying, for anyone, I want you to remember these statistics because these statistics are real. People aren't blowing smoke up your ass when they say this. These are real things. These are people's sons, daughters, mothers, fathers, uncles, aunts, cousins, brothers and sisters who they now have to bury because they're gone. Because they committed suicide because somebody in their school or in their environment was so nasty to them that the thought of continuing was far too painful. And so they ended their life. For whatever the reason, someone decided to be mean. And the outcome of that was a mother had to bury her child, a father had to bury their daughter or son, and now that person is no longer here. So one of the statistics that I'm going to kind of read you a short part of the paragraph here that's on nobullying.com, and it says, quote, "Suicide is the second leading cause of death for 10 to 34-year-olds, according to the Center for Disease Control. It was the cause of about 6,078 deaths in a year in the 15 to 24 age group. Bullied victims are 7 to 9% more likely to consider suicide, according to a study by Yale University. Studies in Britain have found half of the suicides among youth related to bullying. According to a study by ABC News, over 30,000 children, I'm going to pause right there, 30,000. Keep that in mind. Over 30,000 children stay home every day due to the fear of being bullied. Bullying can be related to physical, emotional, cyberbullying, and sexting, i.e. circulating nude or suggestive pictures or messages about a person." End quote. 30,000. That is the amount of, there's 4,000 plus kids in my school, so that's, I'm not good at math, but that's probably about, if you were to copy my school and every student in it, 3, 4, 5 plus times. That's probably about 6 or 7 of my schools, and each of those schools have 4,000 kids in it. So if you do 4 times, we're going to say 7 here, which is going to get you to 28. I had to do the math. Not good at math, sorry about that, but still, it's a lot. So that's 7 of my schools with 4,000 kids each inside. 30,000 kids doesn't even make up everybody in the United States, and it probably doesn't make up the amount of people that live in your state. 30,000 is far too many lives gone. Life isn't like a video game. There's no reset button. There's no coming back from this. When you die, it's over. It's done. And that's got to stop. I am so sick and tired of seeing hashtags of rest in peace, insert name here, because they committed suicide. I'm sick of looking on the news and seeing these kids that are now dead. Parents that now have to go into their child's room that's empty because their kid is gone. That's got to stop. That's got to stop. And I get emotional when I talk about it because it's hella upsetting for a multitude of reasons. But I'm also one that went through it for 12 years. And if I'm being completely honest, I probably shouldn't be here. But if I didn't have family and friends to keep me from being that part of that statistic, I wouldn't be here to make this video for you guys. I wouldn't be here to try and send and share stories of inspiration and strength to keep somebody from doing that. Oh, I'm not going to cry right now. I guess my point when I say all of this is to please remember that you may be having a hard time, and you have every right to feel those feelings and feel those emotions and go through that, but it does get better. And speaking to everyone out there who's watching this, who's been through that like I have, and who's come out the other side, please share your story so that someone else out there can see it and realize that that things get better, and it does get better. And those of you who see bullying happening in your school, I encourage you to please
please go tell somebody. Let them know that this is happening so we can try and put a stop to it. I will put a link to the Todrick Hall video that I mentioned in the description below, as well as the nobullying.com where I read the statistics, so you guys can take a look at that and also learn some more about bullying and different ways that you can stop. Oh, I didn't think I was going to cry in this video. But until then, I thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I will be posting vlogs and videos like this every Monday and Friday. My Monday videos are going to be in my inspiration videos, and my Friday videos are going to be the videos that I'm calling, I think right now I'll call them Puppy Fridays. Puppy Fridays, where you'll get to see my two dogs, my youngest of whom is a special needs puppy, and you will get to learn about her and her story and see cute little vlogs about her and her brother as they go through their daily lives. And you'll, learn more about her story and how she represents the word of inspiration today, strength, and how she makes me smile each and every day. So I thank you guys so much for watching. Please share this video, help people to be able to see it, but also just help people to smile. The Nice One Positivity Project is something that I'm working on, that I'm hoping to get off the ground and eventually turn into something that's like a really big production, hopefully to try and spread more positivity, and I eventually want to make it into a much larger video and then post it here on YouTube for you guys to see and to share. So, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening to my personal story. If you guys have personal stories of your own, maybe you've been bullied yourself, maybe you've been through a hard time, whatever story it is, maybe you just want to spread words of inspiration and positivity and niceness and good vibes, which is exactly what my project, the Nice and Positivity Project, is all about. Post it down in the comments below. I'll be replying back to those comments. Please make sure that you are, doing what you can to help stop bullying and making people smile. Until then, it's your girl MC Flawless, spreading peace and love, coming at you live from YouTube. And I also want to end on one more saying, and that is this. A saying that I love to say that I created myself, which is, please be nice. It'll save a life. Bye, guys.